This month, powerful and intoxicating, the high-tech, high-budget, high-performance TP52s head to Menorca for their World Championships. Plus, how an American president helped to inspire generations of match racing sailors, we head to the Governor's Cup in California. And no rest for the games makers. World Sailing's Andy Hunt outlines the road ahead for Tokyo 2020.
We need to listen very carefully to where the games model is going.
More from Andy later in the show. But first, racing alone, non-stop around the planet. It doesn't get any harder. We take a look at what's in store. It has broken boats, broken bodies, and shattered dreams. The course is over 24,000 miles long. Non-stop, around the world, alone. No outside assistance allowed. Not that this would always help. For much of the Southern Ocean, the sailors are beyond the reach of any rescue from land. And there is precious little shipping. Offshore racing doesn't get any harder.
Stand for me now, 'cause you got me in the middle. Stand for me now, babe, can fight just a little.
Of the 138 sailors that have started the Vendée Globe, only 71 have managed to cross the finishing line. Many have retired more times than they've completed the course. Only one has won the race twice, Michel Desjoyeux, in 2001 and 2009. Tragically, two paid the ultimate price and were lost at sea. The event was created in the spirit of the first non-stop solo round the world race via the Three Capes, the Golden Globe, in 1968. Back then, of the 9 pioneers who set sail, only one made it back to Falmouth, the British sailor Robin Knox-Johnston, after 313 days at sea. Today, the record time is significantly shorter, just 78 days, set by François Gabard in 2013. The first Vendée Globe race was run in 1989. Run every 4 years and now in its 8th edition, this race sees 29 entries from 10 countries. The youngest is 23-year-old Swiss sailor Alain Rohrer. The oldest, 66-year-old American Rich Wilson. For Alex Thompson, this will be his 4th Vendée Globe. It took him 3 attempts to complete the race. And when he did, he finished 3rd. Thompson knows the risks, and experience has taught him how to prioritise his campaign.
The goal is firstly to finish, to be on the podium, and then to win.
But aside from the challenges that go with the extreme territory, the stakes have been raised even further for this edition of the race, with a new technical development aboard the boats.
We've got a new generation of boat with these foils, wings that lift the boat out of the water, which means they go much faster at times than they did before. But there is a real price to pay for the comfort of the skipper. It's a very aggressive and difficult place to be on these boats now, and in the Vendée Globe it's going to be extremely uncomfortable.
Sébastien Josse is one of France's top sailors. He was fifth in the 2004 Vendée Globe, but was forced to retire in 2008. He too has one of the most advanced boats in the fleet, with the horizontal foils, or moustache foils as they've been nicknamed.
When the foil is out and the keel was canted the other way, you have two supports to make the lift for the boat. The boat don't touch so much the water because half of the hull is on the air.
But there is risk.
The foils can generate 1.5 tons, it depends on the boat speed. Faster you go, more you have load on the foils. You can break the foil if you go over the load if you go too fast.
But for some, the race is also about a proof of technology. Conrad Coleman's 60-footer, 100% natural energy, will use no fossil fuels at all during his circumnavigation to power his onboard electronics.
This winter I took the diesel engine out of the boat and replaced it by a small, clean electric motor and a big battery pack of lithium-ion batteries. The idea is that I will go all the way around the world, a full 45,000 kilometers without burning one drop of diesel. The heart of this electric boat is right under here where I sleep. And so this is the engine room, but not as you're used to it knowing. This looks more like an IT center.
Whether teams are aiming for outright success or simply to complete the course, there are plenty of motivations. But the one that unites them all, the Vendée Globe, the ultimate challenge. And crossing the finish line is the ultimate reward. Over 7,500 boats in 58 countries took part in the third edition of the world's biggest race, Barts Bash. Aimed at promoting fun afloat and encouraging more people to take to the water, this year's charity event, held in memory of Andrew Bart Simpson, raised money for disabled sailing.
It's not about who wins, it's just about getting out there, mass global participation events.
Aarhus on Denmark's east coast will be the venue for the 2018 Sailing World Championships. Held every 4 years, the previous event in Santander, Spain, attracted more than 1,100 sailors from 82 nations. Red Bull sailing team caused one of the biggest upsets of the Extreme Sailing Series when they knocked overall leaders Oman Air off the Act 7 podium. The experienced Austrian crew snatched third place from their Omani-flagged rivals in the very last of 23 races in Lisbon, Portugal. Alinghi won the event and now trail Oman Air's overall lead by just 2 points as the fleet heads into the final event in Sydney, Australia. Two boats, one winner, one loser. It doesn't get any simpler. Winning means simply beating your opponent across the finish line and is as much about understanding the rules as it is about sailing quickly. Sometimes stopping your opponent altogether is the quickest way to victory. Knowing the rules off by heart is crucial, as is perfect boat handling at short notice. The most prestigious match race is the America's Cup, the jewel in the match racing crown. But while the 165-year-old trophy is famous for its big-budget campaigns and high stakes, there are plenty of other match racing events that attract both accomplished pros and younger, up-and-coming sailors. Here, the Governor's Cup, hosted by the Balboa Yacht Club in Newport Beach, California, has delivered both for 50 years. Restricted to sailors under 22 years old, this year's Golden Anniversary Regatta proved this point once again. Since California's governor, Ronald Reagan, granted the deed of gift to the event back in 1967, many famous and decorated sailors have competed here, including two-time America's Cup winning helmsman James Spithill.
Obviously the America's Cup was my dream. And as a young kid then, was always thinking to myself, how am I going to get in the America's Cup? And there was no clear pathway. Now it's exciting to come and talk to these young sailors and say, hey, there is a pathway. And you can just see them all. You know, their eyes light up and they're all really hungry for it. Already the interest that's come from the young sailors has been overwhelming.
Mark Christensen from New Zealand won the Governor's Cup in 1989. He went on to win 2 round-the-world races, first with Paul Kayard in 1998 and then with John Kostecki in 2002.
The Governor's Cup was my first international regatta, and so different environment, different weather.
Terry Hutchinson from Annapolis, Maryland was also a frequent competitor at the Governor's Cup. Twice College Sailor of the Year and twice Rolex Yachtsman of the Year, he's raced on 3 America's Cup teams and has won many world titles. Paul Kayard is another accomplished match racer, an Olympic and America's Cup sailor and winner of the Whitbread Round the World race, star world champion and Rolex Yachtsman of the Year in 1998. Today, Taylor Canfield is the world #1 ranked match racer. His career also started with the Governor's Cup.
I think I did 2 or 3 Governor's Cups along the way, and you know, it was just the beginning of match racing for me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back in the new boats and the old venue, and it should be a great time.
Chris Steele, who came second in 2013, is clear where the event stands.
This is the pinnacle of youth match racing. It's kind of the equivalent to the Congressional Cup, I guess, of the current days. An awesome venue and good racing with the boats. Yeah, just a good week all around, both on and off the water.
When it came to the 2016 event, the final showdown was between Nevin Snow from San Diego against 2-time champion Sam Gilmore, son of legendary match racer Peter Gilmore from Perth, Australia.
I managed to win the event twice. This is my 4th time sailing the event, so it means a lot coming back here. I mean, it's sort of the final youth event that I'll have the opportunity to do because I'm sort of aging out.
And while the racing was close and intense, the result went 2-0 to Snow's American team.
We all grew up in San Diego sailing together, so this is actually a great sort of reunion event because you know, we were each sailing for opposing colleges for the past year or so, and we all raced against each other in San Diego at the Nationals. And to do this event was, you know, just accumulation of hard work individually, and then it all came together as a great team.
So as the competition continues to thrive, the Governor's Cup delivers more young talent into the spotlight. After the break, the high-tech, high-budget, high-performance TP52s head to Menorca for their World Championships. Plus, World Sailing's Andy Hunt outlines the road ahead for Tokyo 2020. But first, the Windward Mark can be a crowded and busy place, especially at the Melges 32 World Championships. As the Jenniker is hoisted and the sail sets, the power comes on with a bang and it's easy to lose control. But no one was expecting what happened next. Tripping up at the front of the fleet was like stopping at the top of an escalator. While Bronco was close to missing Red, close was not good enough. A collision is one thing, but spinning Red around and sending her and her crew off in the other direction was not what anyone had expected. Powerful, fast, and highly addictive. The TP52 class has been one of the biggest successes of the Grand Prix racing world. Hot competition has attracted some of the world's biggest names in business, not just simply to own a high-tech racing machine, but to drive it.
I think the TP52s are really the perfect monohull big boats for racing. They're big enough to be powerful, but they're also agile, so you can really throw them around at the start line.
The class has a reputation for fiercely close racing too.
To be competitive in this class, you better bring your A game in every aspect of sailing.
So what is a TP52? Conceived in 2001, the concept was for a 52-foot-long, high-performance boat that could race inshore and offshore. Each boat must fit within a set of basic rules that define the boat's principal dimensions, such as length, breadth, draft, and weight. There are rules on sail area, construction, and other more complex measurements too. The overall goal is to keep the boat similar in design, but to allow owners and designers sufficient scope to experiment. 15 years after the birth of the class and tens of millions of development dollars later, the individual designs have converged.
The difference you can make by getting a better design is very, very limited now. There are two designers at the moment competing, and the boats are very equal.
The 52 has been a very iconic class to other designers and to other boat builders. Most of the big boats racing now in RC, ORC prototypes or one-off boats all copy a little bit what the 52 looks like.
And as the hotbed of development has continued, new systems and techniques have spread into the sport elsewhere. Spinnaker drop systems that see 260 square metres of sail disappear below decks in seconds. Tiller steering, once thought to be impractical for a boat of this size, is now the accepted way to helm. Square-top mainsails and flush decks are now commonplace aboard both larger and smaller raceboats. But it's not just the technology that's evolved. The crews have too, especially when it comes to the helmsman. The owner of a Formula One motor racing team would never expect to be in the driving seat on the grid alongside Lewis Hamilton. But a TP52 allows a team owner to square up to an Olympic medalist or a multiple world champion. Amateurs and professionals racing side by side. With such an evenly matched fleet sailed by some of the world's best crews, the World Championships was set to be a showdown. The 2016 season had seen Doug DeVos's Quantum run away with the Super Series events, making them favourites for the World Championship title. Yet their season scoreline betrayed the nail-biting nature of each victory. After 9 races in a variety of conditions, the regatta favourites were leaving it late to make their charge for the world title. Alberto Romo's Azzurra was on a roll. In the penultimate race, Quantum only managed to score a 5th. Their leading margin had been eroded to just 5 points. By this stage, Azzurra had won 3 races back-to-back. Could they make it a 4th? If they could, and if Quantum were to get buried in the pack again, Azzurra could take the World Championship title.
And into the final race, will Azzurra have won 3 races in a row? Quantum Racing's 5th leaves them 5 points clear at the top of the table. Phoenix make a great start, 1/3 up from the boat end of the line, and they lead around the top mark. Meantime, Quantum are trying to control Azzurra. Azzurra tack and duck Quantum Racing. Gladiator then force Azzurra to tack. Quantum Racing get out to the right, and they immediately then gain control of Azzurra.
As Phoenix were leading the charge, all Quantum cared about was blocking Azzurra. Winning this race wasn't important, but keeping Azzurra behind them was crucial, which is exactly how the final race played out. Quantum were world champions, yet once again, it hadn't been easy.
Every event that we've done in the 52s, somebody starts out really strong and then it just compresses and compresses. It comes down to the last day with all this drama. So we're just thrilled that it came out in our favor.
There are plenty of adjectives to describe TP52 racing, but the World Championships proved once again that intense was the most accurate. The 2016 Rolex World Sailor of the Year is the most prestigious achievement award in sailing. This year's shortlisted nominees include double Olympic medalist Marit Baumeister, who won gold in Rio and was a dominant force in the laser radial at the Sailing World Cups. Cecilia Carranza Ceroli struck gold in Rio with her helmsman Santiago Langer in the NACRA 17 class. Martin Grail and Kahena Kun scored a home team gold in Rio in the 49er FX class. Great Britain's 470 duo, Hannah Mills and Saskia Clark, upgraded their Olympic silver from 2012 to gold in Rio. RSX sailor Charlene Picon went into the Olympic medal race tied for 3rd and came away with gold. In the men's category, the shortlisted sailors include Peter Burling and Blair Tuke in the 49er class, won gold with ease, plus 4 consecutive world championships. Simi Fantella and Igor Morenic delivered Croatia's first Olympic gold medal. Santiago Langer had part of his lung removed after a cancer diagnosis. He won gold in the NACRA 17. British Finn sailor Giles Scott, he won his gold in Rio with a day to spare. Paralympic 2.4-metre sailor Damien Sagouin already had gold from Athens. Rio saw him add another gold to his collection. The awards will be made at the World Sailing Annual Conference in Barcelona in November. Rio 2016 might be over, but the road to Tokyo 2020 marks a big potential change for all Olympic sport, not just sailing. As Chief Executive for the British Olympic Association, and then as Chef de Mission for Team GB, World Sailing's Chief Executive Andy Hunt is no stranger to the Games and the cycle of change that it creates.
I think this is a really important moment for the Games. It's an important moment because the IOC has clearly set out its Agenda 2020, and that is something that sports, international federations like ourselves need to take account of. It's about gender equality, it's about innovation, it's about youth appeal in terms of the events that we propose to the IOC, and it's about sustainability, so keeping cost and complexity down.
But some worry that sailing is under greater pressure to stay in the Games.
I don't think sailing is at risk of moving out the Games. I think we're a core sport with a fantastic tradition, a great partnership with the IOC, but we need to listen very carefully to where the Games model is going. We need to adapt and evolve our sport. And that doesn't mean throwing the baby out with the bathwater or doing away with tradition at all. It just means carefully making decisions to make sure that we have both events and equipment that are very appealing to where the Games will be in 4 years' time. You know, we all know that the end audience consumes sport in a completely different way to the way it consumed it even 4 years ago in London. And what will that be like by the time we get to 2020? So we as a sport need to be very cognizant of that.
But for Paralympic sailing, Rio was the end of the road.
That doesn't mean that we've given up, far from it. The toughest thing of all is the next 18 months, because the high performance funding that goes into the nations to better get, to physically get boats to events, to pay for athletes to train, provide coaching for athletes, that will go. So actually that's the important part. How do we fill that gap? How do we make sure we've got a minimum of 32 nations from 3 continents competing regularly in 2017 and 2018, and of course for us beyond, because our commitment isn't just for that period. We're going ahead with this regardless. The para side of our sport is hugely important to us. We're going to do whatever we can in our power to make that happen.
Next month, it's crunch time in Japan for the last America's Cup World Series. Can Ben Ainslie Racing hold on to their lead at the final showdown? Plus, who will win the prestigious Rolex Sailor of the Year Awards? We report on the winners and the news from the World Sailing Conference in Barcelona.